Good afternoon, everybody. It's nice to be back, actually, because last week I had to postpone this session because I wasn't very well. So it's great to be back with you. Today we're talking about how do you get inbound leads. They are second to referrals, the best kind of leads. They are fantastic. And we're going to talk about how do you get them, why you need them, the mistakes you make if you get this wrong, the opportunities you miss. But really, I wanted to help people today because they're posting and posting and posting and not getting those inbound leads, and they don't know what's wrong, why is it not working, what's the missing piece of the puzzle. So I'm going to break that down today. So if you're first time joining me here, I'm Dean Seddon. I'm the founder of Maverick. We are the largest social selling training company on planet Earth. We've trained more people. We're the largest full-time team. A lot of small solopreneur operators in our industry. So it's great to have you here. I've been doing this. I know I don't look old enough, but I've been doing this now for 15 years. It's insane. And people say to me, Dean, why are you still talking about social selling? Because it's the best way to sell. And now with the encroachment of AI, it's actually going to be more important that you're good at this, because actually trust first is going to matter. We are entering a time where people used to trust each other because generally everybody was a good human being. Now, you don't know if the person you're talking to is actually even a real person. You've probably seen some of those videos on YouTube of people, AI avatars doing sales calls and things. It's crazy. So we're going to talk about today about how do you build that trust and get those inbound leads so that you go away really understanding what you need to do to actually get them. Now, let me just paint a picture for you for a minute before we get into this. Why is this so important? Well, number one, if you're putting out content and it's not getting you leads, there is a question of what's the point. Sure, it's great to have brand awareness, but brand awareness needs to come for something. Brand awareness is usually used as an excuse for bad conversion. Now, I'm not saying not being known is a bad idea or being the best kept secret is a good idea. I'm not. But a lot of people, when a post doesn't actually bring any opportunity their way, they put it down to, well, it's helped me build my brand. And you can take that to the nth degree. So you can have people, and I know somebody, LinkedIn famous, who's got more followers than me, more engagement than me, but she has a part-time job because her LinkedIn isn't paying. It isn't working. Because she's posting stuff that gets engagement, but it doesn't necessarily get any conversion. So let me just paint a picture for you. You're posting all this stuff, and now you've built your brand, great, but actually you're getting the right people messaging you saying, I see what you do, what you said resonated, it's really hit the nail on the head for us, this is exactly where we are, can we have a call? Now, years ago, I never used to get those. Many, many years ago when I first started on LinkedIn, I never used to get those. Today, if I wanted to, and Maverick team, do not stress about this, I am not doing this. If I wanted to, with my LinkedIn, with my social media, I could go, do you know what? I'll just have a little easy life and basically shrink my business and have a little lifestyle hobby business from my home. Team, don't worry, no plans to do that. But I could, and I could do very, very well out of it. I'd have to slim down the capability. You know, Maverick trains hundreds and hundreds of people, paid training every single month, hundreds and hundreds, over 3 a month. And so, you know, we'd have to scale all that down, but I could build a very good lifestyle business, bank 10K a month, and, you know, dabble about on LinkedIn because I've been doing the right things. Now, it does not take 15 years of doing it to get there. It's simple stuff that you need to follow. Strip all of the complexities, all those algorithm reports, all that stuff you've been told to do, strip it away, and let's just dig into what does it really take to get inbound leads. Now, let me tell you the first thing I want to share about the mistakes I made. You can learn a lot from people's mistakes. So the things I've done that have cost me inbound leads, I'm going to share them with you and take these on board, because these will actually help you realize and you'll spot the patterns. So number one, my credibility, me being lots of certificates, all of that stuff, me being 25 years in business, all that stuff didn't matter at all in me getting inbound leads. Not at all. It is irrelevant. I see so many people obsessing about, well, if I just get my website updated, if I just get another qualification, if I just do this and just do that, does not matter a jot. There are some people younger than you, less experienced than you, just a little bit more dialed in to their customer, and they're pulling in more leads than you. So it's not about how competent you are at all. I thought that for a long time, that the more competent I was, the more I had all these letters and everything after my name, the easier it would be. It made no difference. So if you're waiting for something else to happen and then you hope it'll come about, it won't. That's the first thing. The second thing I made the mistake of doing was thinking that education would help people see why they need to work with me. Now, educational content does have a place, absolutely has a place. But if that's what you're doing and the thought process is, well, if I just show them so much value, they will buy. No. If you show them so much value, you are training people they don't need to buy. Why do I need to buy from you when I just consume your stuff? So if you're thinking education is going to do it, that's not going to do it either. The third thing is that I thought hard promo would actually get me inbound leads, and it actually got people running for the hills. Hard promos like that person, when you walk into an electronics store, Best Buy in the US, Currys in the UK, you've got those alarm sensors near the doors. And as you approach them, you lock eyes with a salesperson. And they say to you, hey, is there anything I can help you with? And you say, no thanks, just looking. Even if you are seriously looking, you instantly say no thanks. Because we run from hard selling. Yeah. So if you think, oh, if I just hard promo more, then it'll come together. It doesn't. So there's nothing wrong with telling people about what you do. I encourage that. But if you're going, hey, this is what I do, and here you can buy it, click the link, you'll be disappointed. So if they're the mistakes and they're the big issues that we've got to deal with, how do we actually get those high quality leads, right? How do we get those high quality leads? And I always wanted to be a teacher when I was a kid, and I used to love drawing on blackboards and chalkboards. So I'm living my childhood fantasy today. How do we get those high quality inbound leads? And let's just go to, and this is really useful, I'm going to call it what it is. Hopefully you can see this. Yeah, first principles. First principles is a really simple thing. I bet my screen's flipped the wrong way or something, right? First principles is really simple. It basically is strip everything back, all the complexity, strip it back and go, okay, why would somebody message me asking for help, right? Why would they do it? If you start to write that question down, why would they do it? So first of all, think about it. Why would they do it? They must have a problem they want to solve. That's number one. You know that. That's obvious, right? We all know that. That's common sense, right? But let me take it one step further. For them to inbound message you, they have to see that you understand their specific problem. Specific problem. Apologies if this is flipped. It's flipped on my screen, so I don't know whether you're getting the right version or the wrong version, but make notes. Specific problem. What's the specific problem that they see you understand? Now, this is very, very important because I see a lot of people making this mistake on LinkedIn. What they're doing, well, social media everywhere, they are not naming any specific problem. They are naming a category of problems. So instead of saying, do you know what? You're posting on LinkedIn and you're getting engagement, but you're getting frustrated because it's actually not getting you any leads. So it feels like you're throwing good effort after bad. That's specific. But if it was like, yeah, well, what you actually need is more clarity on your buyers, that's fluffy. Nobody sees that and feels that. Every specific problem is either seen or felt. If they can't see it or feel it, it's conceptual. People pay to solve specific problems they can see and feel. People buy to get to a destination that they can see or they can feel. So, number one, what's the specific problem? What's the specific problem? We'll get to the mechanics of how you get them to inbound lead you in a minute, but you cannot do it if you don't get to that bit. Number two, the specific outcome. And again, seen and felt. Yeah, humans don't buy logically. And if you just try to make the case for what you do logically, the vast majority of people will not get it. For you to get an inbound lead, it's an emotional reaction. It's a feeling. People have felt something and feel compelled to act on it now. You can make that happen, but you have to understand these two things. If you don't understand these, or you're up in the clouds with conceptual, abstract language, no chance. You have zero chance of doing it. Well, I'm being unfair. You do, but it will take a long time for people to realize and figure out, oh, that clarity issue that you help people solve, that you've been banging on about why clarity is important. You mean me. You mean my specific issue. You mean oh, I didn't get that your clarity concept actually applied to me struggling to do X, Y, or Z. So what happens is, if you use abstract language, it just takes people longer to figure out that applies to them. The closer you get to their specific, what's seen and felt, both on the problem they want and the place they want to get to, the more they pay attention, the more they realize it's relevant for them. This is foundational to inbound leads. And I know some of you go, yeah, Dean, we know this. Okay, if you're not getting inbound leads, then something's wrong here. Now, there's one other part that could be wrong. Yeah. You might have the right problem, the right outcome, but you're talking to the wrong audience. That could be a network issue. You've built your network with the wrong people, but it could also be a mismatch of problem to audience or outcome to audience. I'll give you an example, right? Let's say I don't promise this, I don't sell this. So let me just give you an example. Let's say I could get you into, basically, you could be working on a beach and making $20,000 a month. I don't promise people that. I don't sell that. I sell to more grown-up people who want more balance, not crazy dreams. I sell people who want control, balance, and predictability. But let's say I did. And my network is full of CEOs of companies with 50 to 200 employees. And I'm talking about this, which is bang on right, but the wrong crowd. The wrong crowd. They just go, it's bullshit. It's irrelevant to me. So you need to get your profile and get around the right people who actually wants what you've got. And this is the very, very big one, because you have to sense check this. What do they actually want? Now, I'll just move over there. Want. You can tell my typing, my handwriting's amazing, right? Want is a very important word. Well, let me just say, if you're not getting clients right now, I know I can help you, right? I know I can help you. I know some key things that you need to actually get predictable leads and clients. I know what they are. They are, number one, your message has to be right. And the only way you get your message right is you decide what you're selling and who you're selling it to. Until you don't, if you don't settle on those two things, right, no amount of tactics on LinkedIn will fix it. So if you go, yeah, Dean, I want to get clients on LinkedIn, but you can't actually in your head and clearly define, I'm selling this thing, you will have no focus in your message or targeting, and so it'll all come to nothing. And the longer you go round in that circle, the more you're stuck. I know that is the majority of people's problem on LinkedIn. But what they want is, I want leads and I want them now. That is the difference between what somebody needs and what somebody wants. People want leads and clients. They don't want better messaging, but they need it. And so you might be selling a want and give the need. So you might be doing this next one, number 4, the wrong way round. So what you might be doing is actually trying to sell them what they need, which you know will give them what they want. So what you're doing, in effect, northernisms here, you're flogging a dead horse. You're trying to sell a dead horse, right? They will pay for what they want. Your job is to give them what they need to get what they want, but you have to sell them what they want. This is not about bait and switch or scammy tactics. It's about they want leads. You have a process to get them leads, which involves the message, the audience, the offer, and the systems to do it. That's what I do. People want leads and clients, but actually most of the time, they've bought a gazillion courses of all the tactics. They've tried all the tactics and none of them have worked. The reason why they come to me is because they now realize I've got to sort this out once and for all. I've got to quit this magpie course buying. I've actually got to knuckle down and do something properly. And so I actually go, well, yes, I can help you get clients. I can help you get them consistently. But to do that, we have to do the proper work of actually figuring out who you're for and what message will get to convert. Otherwise, you'll just throw more effort at it and get no results. So very often what you're doing is, if you're selling them what they need, which they're not interested in, they don't care about, they care about what they want. And they want to get away from this thing and to this thing. What they need is actually, what they need to get there is actually what you help them do. It's not what they want. And I know this sounds like semantics, but there's a fundamental difference. Fundamental difference. So once you've gathered that information, once you've gathered that and you've got really clear on what that is and who that is, specific problem, specific outcome, the right audience, you're growing your network with the right people, so the people are coming in, you know what they want and what they'll pay for, yeah, and your process will deliver what they need to get there, yeah. So you sell them what they want and deliver what they need to get there, yeah. So the marketing becomes about, your message becomes about what they want. It becomes about the problem they want to solve, and the destination they want to get to. That's it. Now, you cannot sell everybody the same destination, and you cannot say to everybody, I solve one problem and that's, sorry. You cannot speak to multiple crowds of people about different problems and different outcomes and not add confusion. There is no way to do it. If I was a LinkedIn guru and an Instagram guru, and today I talked about Instagram and tomorrow talked about LinkedIn and today I talked about Instagram and the next, I would confuse people about how I could help them. Now, the people would pick up on it eventually. Eventually, could be a long time though. That's a bit more joined up. Instagram, LinkedIn, it's like social media. You help people get clients from, it's a quick jump. But I would add confusion by doing it. So if I go, oh, well, different problems, different people, different wants, guess what? I've actually created more confusion for me and more confusion for them. So I'll never get leads with confusion. It will take people a long time to figure that out. So once I've got this done, and I'm going to try, I was going to say I'm going to try and write backwards just in case, but I'll just scrub this off the board so I can show you this next part, because I want to do this, right? I'm going to do this as big as possible and test your backwards reading if it is backwards. Hopefully you can read this. I don't know why my writing has suddenly got very narrow, but it's called internal urgency. Internal urgency. So if you now know the problem people want to solve, the outcome people want to get to, who wants those, and then you've got actually, you understand all the difference between the want and the need, what they want versus what they need, because they will buy and pay for what they want, and you've got to deliver what they need to get there. Two different things. So if you know what they want, now we can craft content that basically creates internal urgency. So internal urgency, let me just explain it briefly. So internal urgency is relatively simple. So external urgency is you go to a landing page and it's got a countdown clock. Or you get an email and it says there's only 5 places left. Or you go onto a website, booking.com or whatever, only one place left on only one room left on this site. That's external urgency because it's somebody applying constraints on you. Yeah? So somebody's saying, if you don't get this, it's gone. So it's external. Internal is where you take that knowledge from what we've just shared and you make very specific posts that speak to what they want, the problem they've got, and agitate those two things together. Like rub them up against each other. And I use this example all the time. It's a really good example of, let's say you and your neighbor have got the same car. And it's a 10-year-old car, a little bit of a banger, but you've both got the same car. Or let me give you another example. This is a perfect example. Somebody drove into the side of my wife's car. So it's a 6-year-old Ford Focus. It's decent. There's nothing wrong with it. It's nice. It's fine. But somebody drove into the side of it. Their fault. Car goes away to the garage. They give her a courtesy car. She gets this brand new Nissan X-Trail. All the bells and whistles, everything, you know, all nice and shiny. And she's driving around it for a week and a bit. And then comes the time to get the car back. And she doesn't want to go back because she's had a taste. She's felt what it's like to drive the new car. And so when she goes back to the old car, she notices some of the things that are not as good as they used to be. That is a form of internal urgency. When you get a feeling and you see other people like you, you feel what it could be like to get to that outcome and then come back and realize you're still in the problem, it motivates you internally to act. And so internal urgency, and it's a very complex way of saying it for a lot of people who don't understand copywriting, you raise the cost of inaction. You make it more expensive to keep doing what they're doing. So you have to show them, don't just preach and tell them, show them that if they keep doing it the way they're doing it, where they'll be, without pointing the finger. So the people, that's a good way of doing it, the people who continually use LinkedIn and don't fix the fundamentals will in 12 months' time still be struggling to get leads and clients. But those people who actually fix the audience, the message, and the systems will get predictable clients and never have to worry about where the next client's coming from. That is a form, raising the cost of inaction and lowering the cost of taking action. Lowering the cost of taking action. So in other words, saying, the world's going to be better if you do this, but if you don't, it's going to get worse. Now, logically, this should not work, but human beings don't act logically. I'll tell you why. There's a really funny stat in cybersecurity. I work with a lot of cybersecurity companies that phishing emails, you know those scam emails we get tons of them. So 44% of people who see those emails, even though they know that they are scams, will click them anyway. Because they are curious to know what happens. Right? Now that stat might have gone down now with technology. It's a bit of an old stat, a couple of years old. But sometimes we do things that don't make logical sense. There was a survey done a few years ago about people said we should buy more local goods, from local small businesses because it's better for the environment. We should do this. And then a couple of months later, they went back to those survey people and said, so how many times did you buy from Amazon versus local? And most of the people bought from Amazon. So you have this weird disconnect where the logical brain, yes, we should be more local, but then the emotive and convenience and the animal brain kicks in. And so there's two conflicts. This internal urgency actually works on the animal brain. And it's the animal brain that actually gets you to DM and message. It's the animal brain that gets you to go, I want to know this, so I'm going to give you my email. So you've got to get really good at thinking about what is the cost of doing nothing to them and how do I make them see that that's really expensive? And then contrast that quickly, closely together with, okay, how do I lower the cost of doing something now? It's a bit like, for an example, let's say I've got a scenario at the moment that I'm working on and I'm considering moving one of my projects to paid ads. And it feels quite expensive to move this thing to paid ads because we've been doing something else organically, but we just don't have the bandwidth to promote all the things that we do. So I got a cost today from somebody and it's going to cost me probably around $6,000 a month to do this. And I'm like, that feels a lot. And it's like, ooh, that feels a lot. It's expensive. But if that works, it will unlock for me maybe $100,000 to £150,000 worth of new business a month. A month. Logically, makes total sense to go with it. But because I'm still not feeling that the cost of inaction is higher than the cost of taking action, I'm stuck on the fence. I know that in theory, this thing could work, and my own gut tells me it could work, but I'm still weighing up the cost of doing it against the cost of not doing it, and it emotionally doesn't stack up yet. That is the opposite scenario of what you've got to create. So what is the stumbling blocks to people taking action right now? So I'll give you an example, another example. A lot of people come to me because they get a lot of their business from word of mouth and referrals, and they're all cool, they're good. But we all know what happens. Referrals are like number 10 buses. Some come along like clockwork, and then some don't. Sometimes you have none for weeks or months. Now imagine a scenario where a client says, oh, we've got to put the budget on pause because new finance department or whatever. And now your revenue has a hole that client used to fill. And there's no referrals on the horizon. So you have to, cut your cloth a little bit. Yeah. And you'll probably go, well, how do I drum up more business? And that's what you'll do. And what will happen is you'll adapt to lower revenue. You'll cut your cloth and adapt and go along, because often people who are reliant on referrals find marketing and promoting what they do and getting clients organically, not referrals, difficult. And so the cost of marketing their business is more painful than living with slightly lower revenue, until another client pauses or another client project finishes and it goes down to a minute, a point where it's like, this is hurting. And then you're prompted to work like the clappers, as we say up north, work like the clappers to fix the problem. That is the reverse version of using this. So your content has to get really specific. It has to understand the wants, the problem they want to solve, the solution or outcome they want to get to, who that person is and get them into your network. Then you have to build your message around that and create the internal urgency in the posts. If the internal urgency isn't there, they will sit on that fence. Now, some of you might say, but Dean, actually, people will make a decision when they're ready. They might, but it might not be with you. I'm not talking about mass manipulation here or heavy pitching. I'm talking about creating a post that triggers them to realize they cannot stay in their comfort zone. Because if they stay in their comfort zone, it's going to be very expensive. Might not be in money, might be something else, but it's going to be expensive to stay there. And so they will act. That is how you get internal inbound leads. It's them recognizing you understand them, where they're at, the problems they feel and they see, or the problem they feel and they see. You can paint the picture of and make them feel like that place they want to get to is achievable and doable. And you create that internal urgency that challenges people to actually take a step. It makes the current reality unbearable. It makes it like I've just got out of the Nissan X-Trail and I got back into the Ford Focus. That is what you've got to paint. Once you get that right, getting leads is no longer a problem. Like literally. So if you've been struggling with this for years, mastering this bit here will sort everything. You don't need thousands of followers. If you've got 200 people in your network that are the right ICP, 200, and you use these mechanics, they'll be inbounding you. Now you'll have to maintain that 200 because your network degrades, and you might want to grow your network beyond that to make it a little bit more manageable and a bit more easy. But 200 is the critical number for inbound leads from this kind of content. But you've got to get clear. If you're not clear, it's just going to be like that. Like they're so close to you. They're right there, but they're not seeing it. And they might not see that you can help them, or they might not see the need to do anything about it. And the problem is they could drift off and find somebody else who's talking about the very thing that you're not doing, and they get them. And all that education that you've been doing actually sets them up for somebody else. That's how it works, unfortunately. And so we have to think about, yes, we can build our brand, and we should. Yes, we can share helpful stuff, and we should. But if we're not sharing that content that actually drives people to message us, we are basically increasing the size of the market for our competitors. We're just helping to better inform our target market for our competitors to mop them up. And that might seem a little brutal, but you know it's true. So think about this, right? I'll happily share a summary of this. If you want the summary of today's session, apologies if this has flipped behind me. It was working fine when I started, but it's, who knows? But if you want to know how to do this in a bit more detail, drop me a message. I'll send you a summary and a worksheet so you can start thinking about how to do this. But it's about alignment. It's about alignment between what they want, outcome and problem, building your message and your offer around that and who that is, and just really focusing on that internal urgency that drives them to act. Once you get that, you'll be unstoppable. So if you want a copy, I'm going to put a slide on screen in a moment where we've got a worksheet, a quiz you can do, and it'll help you understand how you can do this through various different mediums. There's 5 different ways to do this across LinkedIn or any channel. But if you want to scan the QR code, take the quiz, it'll give you a report afterwards about how it works, which way to go. And then I can send you, if you want, drop me a DM, wherever you're watching, Instagram, Facebook, Substack, LinkedIn, YouTube, drop me a message somewhere, and I will send you a summary of what this looks like so that you can kind of go away and work on it. So if this has been helpful, please, thank you for joining me today. I'll put the QR code on screen so you can grab that, and DM me if you want the summary of today, but grab the QR code because it'll help you figure out which is the best approach for you. And other than that, you've been fantastic today, so thank you. I've got loads of comments here I need to deal with, so I'll go deal with those, and see you next week.